I'm Rick Richey.
And I'm Drogoszewski.
This is the Daily Move Challenge. We're going to start off with something called FRANKENSTEINS. We want you to keep your towel close by, but FRANKENSTEINS, you don't really need them. And what we're doing here is we got Aaron taking his arms out in front of him and kicking across to the other side. Try to keep your body upright. And as you kick up, kick to the other side, and try not to let this happen. When you kick where your whole body does this. Right? Every time the leg goes up, the whole body crunches forward. We want you to stay upright because we want the stretch, even if that means this is your exercise. I don't care as long as you're getting the stretch out of it. All right, so now we're going to grab that towel, go into your dusters, all right? Arms out in front of you like you've got a dirty mat at the front of your stoop, and you're shaking that bad boy out. Now you are stone cold dusted. Back and forth, this is my little Beastie Boys reference. All right, so back and forth, and stabilizing the core as this is going on, as you punch those arms both at the same time, getting that towel to wiggle around. Now, squat jump to stabilization, and I want you to jump. Land softly. Land softly. Silence. Jump. Good, hold that position. When you jump, full extension. Make sure you don't jump still in a squat position. Jump. Land softly. Good. Jump. If you got downstairs neighbors and you land, you better land softly. Jump. Very good. Here we go with the boxing. Give us the old 1-1-2. Jab, jab, cross. Jab, jab, cross. So if you are right-handed, generally speaking, we would do, this is what's called an orthodox position. So you're punching out your jabs with your left hand, and then you're throwing your cross with your right hand. So double jab, cross. 1-1-2 is what it's called. Now when he throws the 2, check out the back leg. No, not just the socks. What's going on in the back leg? He's pivoting that back leg as he goes through it. Cool. So now we're going into the long knees, but what we want you to do is we're going to take the towel out in front of you, and we want you to drive that knee forward into the towel. So think about this as it's not a knee like you're coming up under somebody, but you're driving the knee forward into somebody. All right, we're getting violent here. So you're driving the knee forward into the heavy bag. And so this is nice. It's called a long knee, and we use it a lot in sports like Muay Thai. Good, so we're switching it over to the other one. You've got the left knee going into the long knee. If you started with the left one, doesn't matter, we're just going to the other leg. Drive forward with it, and that towel is kind of gonna catch you. The towel's a really good tool here to show that you're doing a long knee. Otherwise, you'd come up underneath it, and the towel will bend forward. We want the towel to bend out in front of you instead of going up. So drive forward like you're trying to stretch it out. Good. Now we're just switching sides. If you've ever heard the term southpaw, then this is a southpaw, P-A-W, hands, paws. It is a southpaw position, so that just means that you're a lefty when you box. And great boxers like Manny Pacquiao are southpaw fighters. So we've got double jab cross going on, and every time he throws that cross or that second punch from the other side, he's got a rotation going on his back leg, just because that's where the power comes from. Squat jump to stabilization. Jump. Land softly. Wait for it again. Here we go. Jump. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Jump. Shh. Quietly, guys. Land softly. Control your landing. You've got to absorb it. Jump. I do not care how high you jump. I care how softly you land. One more jump. Soft landing. And grab your towel. We're going back into the dusters again. So take the towel out in front of you and waggle back and forth and try to stabilize your body as this is going on. Again, the tendency when doing the towel work is that the whole body becomes very unstable, and we've got to control it. That's why we're adding these in here. It's great cardio, it's a lot of fun, it's a tool that everyone has at their disposal, but if it's done wrong, then you're not doing anything but moving your arms about rather than focusing on stabilizing. And now going to the final thing that we've got, back to the FRANKENSTEINS to bring it full circle. We got the FRANKENSTEINS going across the body. Chest stays up tall, reaching the legs forward, but only take that leg up as high as you can do without rounding your spine and tucking your hips. So again, doesn't have to be high, but we do like it going across the body because it does create a little more stretch in some of the tissues that run from your back down your leg. Numero uno, we're gonna get started with some sidewinders, so I'm gonna get out of the way and let Aaron start flapping that towel side to side. So he's stabilizing his body. What he's not doing is he's not really shifting or rotating his hips a lot, because if he were doing that, he'd be pivoting his hips. But because his hips are fairly stable, he's getting a lot of movement that's actually coming from his shoulders and his spine. So with that going on, be careful that you don't start rounding the spine into this flexed position. Keep upright, but bent forward as you go through this. Cool. So now you're gonna run in place and flap the towel. Obnoxious looking? 100%. Difficulty level? That's pretty high just based off the coordination. And when you look at the things that have to go on, so he's got movement in his lower body, movement in his upper body, and trying to coordinate these efforts increases the amount of thinking that you have to do, and the lack of coordination increases the amount of muscle activation that tends to go on in it. All right, let's move on into ice skaters. So all you did is just have him put his towel down and then just single leg back and forth over the towel and stabilizing for a bit. Now, yes, can you facilitate this to move a bit faster? Yeah, if you want to just zip back and forth, feel free to. But again, we're focusing on the first 2 weeks on stabilization. So we are trying to build up our stability, both in our strength training exercises and our cardio phases. So our cardio will even have these components. Then we spike up the heart rate a little bit with the skiers. So we went from ice skaters into skiers, and the skiers, I want you to do this. You're bouncing not off the toes, you're not popping off the toes. There's a portion of the foot called the reactive portion of the foot. It's just in front of the arch, just behind the ball of the foot. So right there at that little area, it's called the reactive portion. It's where you would do your jump ropes from. It's where you do your skiers from. And then you're just banging back and forth, side to side, this frontal plane movement. Very cool. So grab your towel, and you're gonna knee the towels. Put the towel out in front of you, pull the towel wide a little bit, and then you're going to drive your knee forward into the towel. So we did these in our cardios, and so we're gonna add them into the extras as well because we really like them. We like driving the knees forward into the towel for a couple of reasons. One, it's cool just to knee stuff, right? Let's just put that out there, it's cool to knee stuff. Secondly, you've got a target, which makes it easier to do. We're switching over to the other leg on this one for the next 30 seconds. And driving the knee forward, you kind of catch the top of the knee or the top of the shin as you drive forward, and it helps you. Now, one of the things that we're not doing, you can if you want to, you can drive straight up if you want to. It's not our preference, it's not how the knees we're giving to doing the knees. However, if it's something that you're more comfortable with and you can do better, then stay with that. Cool, going back to the sidewinders, taking the towel back and forth, side to side, stable in the feet, stable in the hips. The core is moving, so there's pivoting back and forth with the core. Be careful with small children and coffee tables around like that as you do this exercise, because this can get a little out of hand, so I want you to control it. Think about the towel shooting this way and shooting this way, not swinging around you back and forth. Good, back to your running in place and flapping. So again, running in place and flapping. Anytime you do any of this running or the jumping, you're still gonna stay on that reactive portion of the foot. So you're just popping off the reactive portion of the foot, and rather than arm actions that go along with running, you're gonna have towel flapping that goes along with it. Keep the arms moving, keep flapping, spike the heart rate. You got a few seconds left on this one, and then we're gonna go right back into our ice skaters. Good, bring it back, and ice skaters back and forth. We're starting to pick it up now. So instead of just balancing at the end, we are now facilitating this a bit more. We're increasing the speed. So we went from a more stable ice skater for our first go through to a more dynamic ice skater with this one. If you want to make these longer and really jump across wherever you are, feel free to add that in there. Just be careful with the surface that you're on that you don't slip. Cool, and the last one, ice skaters for 30 seconds, or sorry, skiers for 30 seconds. Think about the visual going down the moguls, right? So you're hitting them side to side, back and forth. You can add a little rotation into it if you want to. Just keep the chest up high. You can lean forward, but you always have to keep the chest up. So that means just no flexion in the spine. Always protect your back, always protect your spine. Always land softly, but dynamically bring it back. And that is it. Well,
so we're gonna go down into a push-up. Still at the 4-2-1 tempo, but this time we're gonna add a rotation. So Rick's gonna go 4 count down. He's not gonna hold for 2 seconds at the bottom, but the top, and he's gonna rotate. Now, the first thing we're gonna point out is when he rotates, his scapula is depressed. We don't want your shoulders in your ears. 2. Before I go any further, some of you may be looking at this and think, there's no way I can do that. That might hurt. If that's you, don't do it. Regress to a regular push-up, work up to this. Do what you can, not what you can't. If you can, this is how we want it done. Scapula depressed at the top, one stable line from arm to arm. And let's not forget about the spine. So now when Rick comes up, he still has to use his spinal stabilizers, but now he's working against lateral flexion. So as he comes up, gravity is pushing down onto his spine, trying to push it into lateral flexion. So that's what we're gonna look to avoid. Still drawing the navel in, squeezing the glutes, but there should be a straight line from the neck down to the spine and hips, all the way down to the leg. You come up, exhale. 8. Now, if this doesn't seem like a problem for your shoulders because of pain, but maybe you lack the endurance, you can still do these moves modified. You can do the push-up from a modified position, knees on the ground. You can even do the rotation with the hold modified. I'm gonna say it time and time again, do what you can, not what you can't. Listen to your body. Keep the shoulders pulled down, keep the spine straight. We're looking for optimal movement, not just a series of movements with no rhyme or reason. One more, we're gonna stand up. Brand new move for you. Week 2 coming up. We're gonna go into a movement called the combo number 2. So have your towels ready. Rick, go ahead and grab it. So Rick is gonna do this from a bent over position. Now what he's gonna do is a series of a few movements. He's going to row wide gripped, rotate, and then extend. He's gonna bring it back, rotate, and down. Just like always, posture first. His hips are seated behind the heels, ankle knee hip alignment, neutral spine. Now let's talk about what's going on through the arms. I'm gonna lay down a macrocosm statement here. Anything we do, it's not about moving the arms up and down, it's about not letting the scapula go into a bad position. So by bad position, we mean elevation. So as you press, focus on pressing and pulling the shoulder blade down. When we row, same thing. We're gonna row with a wide grip, elbows flared out, pinch the shoulder blades together, keep them depressed, pulled down. Now, if you need to, an easy way to regress this, especially as you press over the head, most of you, I know I do, have a little bit of shoulder dysfunction. The scapula is gonna wanna follow the humerus. So if you have a hard time controlling, don't press as high towards the ceiling. So Rick, let's show them one where you press a little bit further in line with the floor. Just like all other movements, as you do this the right way and you get all those proper muscles firing, your endurance will increase. And as that happens, you can systematically get those presses up higher and higher. So we've got one more, and then we're gonna go into touchdowns. Good. I'll take that from you, because you're gonna need it again in a minute. So, single leg touchdown. So Rick's gonna stand on his right leg. Very similar to the lunge, except now, you ain't gonna touch that left foot at the ground. So we talked about progressing. So Rick's gonna reach down, his left arm reaches across the body towards the right foot. So we talked about what changed, his foot's not touching the ground. Now let's talk about what should not be changing. Positioning of his foot. Second toe facing straight ahead. As he drops down, take a look at his knee. It stays right over the center of the foot. 3. Now, a good cue I give my clients for what I'm gonna look for out of Rick's right hip. You notice as he reaches across, it creates a little bit of rotation. We want that because we want the right hip going back into flexion so that we can use those glutes to go into extension. You may notice that you find your left hip wanting to lead the way. As much as you can, try to control that movement so we can get the proper muscles firing. 7. Good. So we're gonna go to 12 with these. On the way down, Work to create as much of a neutral spine as possible. Think about keeping the entire foot connected to the floor. Again, journey, destination, we want the journey. So on the way down, think about squeezing that glute and pushing your hip forward. Put your third eye on that muscle group back there. Rick, I'm pretty sure that your third eye's got 20/20 right now. 11, good, one more. So what we're looking for, muscle over movement. It's not just about getting up and down. 12. And I've got a present for you, there you go. So we're gonna go right back to our combo number 2. So we're gonna pick on those scapular retractors and depressors, the muscles that keep the shoulders where they belong. So the rationale behind why we're picking these movements, it's not, we don't just pick movements to make muscles burn. Many people, again, myself included, find themselves both through work and fitness having your scapular protractors and elevators pulling your shoulders into bad position. So this is a movement designed to get all the muscles firing that undo that. So as you do these movements, first things first, row and squeeze those shoulder blades together, scapular retraction. And then as you press, try as much as you can to keep the shoulders pulled down. Cue I give my clients, and if you have a friend or family member at home that may be willing to do this, show you a little thing that I do as Rick extends and he presses. His upper traps should be loose. There shouldn't be any tension in this musculature up here. So we're gonna go to 12, or 10 rather. I'm so sorry. So sorry. 2 more. Yeah, so pressing. 9. Talked a lot about the shoulders. Stay focused. These are total body movements. Even though we don't have a lot of movement through the legs, we're still stabilizing. I'll take that back from you. So we did it on the right side. Let's do it on the left side. Single leg touchdowns. Good starting position. Second toe facing straight ahead. Moving slowly. 1. Journey, destination. I know I've said it 10 times. I'm gonna probably say it 10 more times. It's imperative that you move slow enough so that you can feel what your body's doing. So we go slow on the push-ups. We're going slow here for 2 reasons. 1, because we want to make sure that the joints are in proper position, but this eccentric phase of the contraction, the portion of the contraction where we're stretching the muscles out while keeping them fired, that's where most of the good stuff happens, where most of your strength gains and your endurance gains happen. So we don't want to waste that. So on the way down, go slow so that we can get more endurance, but go slow so that you can feel that you're adhering to all the cues that we're given. Keep your heel connected to the ground. 7. Keep the knee centered. If you need to, there's nothing wrong with tapping a toe to the floor, either mid-rep when you lose your balance, or if you need to for the entire time. It's a middle ground between a lunge and what we're doing here. Do what you can, not what you can't. 9. 3 more. These we're gonna do 12 of. I have a good feeling about it. 10. 2 more. Inhale on the way down, exhale on the way up. Since we have the right leg off the ground, feel that the right hip does not lead the way on the way back. Give a little bit of a rotation, allow that left hip to go back into flexion. More core and balance. So take it down to the floor, have your towels ready, get a nice long towel. Gonna wrap it around. We're gonna go into a set of bridges, but we're gonna add something fancy. So notice how Rick has the towel around his legs right behind his knees, and he's pressing his knees, or his thighs rather, out. It's called lateral rotation. So as you bridge, keep pressing out into those towels and go for it. Just like the regular floor bridge we did, we're looking to activate the glutes. Your gluteus maximus is your primary hip extender. Now, another joint action of the gluteus maximus is lateral rotation. So that's what we're doing there. As you press out into the towel, what you're really doing is laterally rotating your femur, which is connects and makes your hip, and that gets the glute firing a little bit extra. We're gonna do 12 repetitions. Nothing changes as far as our control through the lumbopelvic hip complex. So as you come up, don't go as high as you can, go as high as you can control, meaning don't arch your back, don't let your belly button poke out. If you feel this in your hamstrings, you can walk your feet back a little bit closer to you. So we're gonna get 2 more, and then we're gonna flip it over into a progressed plank. This is a progressive program after all. Last one. Good, I'll take that from you. Get that thing out of here. So we're gonna flip it over into our plank position. So what we're going to do is called a plank hitchhiker, which just means Rick is gonna take one arm and he's gonna reach it out to the front. Cue this with another movement. What I am not very concerned with is the moving part of Rick's body, his arm. What I am very concerned with is the rest of his body's response to said moving part. So as he reaches, that same side hip is gonna want to dip down towards the floor. So as we reach slowly and feel that you keep your navel drawn in, that your hip stays nice and balanced. If I were to place a ball in his back, it should stay stable. Good, so from there, go ahead and drop face down. We're gonna do a new movement. We're gonna do a shoulder press to cobra. So hands in a shoulder press position, and Rick's gonna press out and then come back into the cobra. Similar to the combo number 2, what this is about, keeping the scapula depressed, and then we go into retraction. What I don't want to see Rick do is, as he reaches, shrug his shoulders. I want to see control through his cervical spine, meaning he's going to be tempted to pick his neck up as he goes into the cobra. He's going to be tempted to go into lumbar spine extension, meaning as he goes into the cobra, get the muscles in his lower back to assist. We don't want any movement through the spine. We want movement through the shoulders. We want movement through the scapula. Turn your thumbs up towards the ceiling at the end. Constantly focus on keeping these upper traps nice and loose. We're gonna get 2 more, and then we're going to stand it up. And we're gonna pick on your legs. Got no better way to say it. We're gonna pick on your legs. I'm gonna pick on Rick's legs. Good, go ahead and stand it up. Not too slowly, not too slowly. So we're gonna stand on your right leg. We're gonna go into our frontal plane excursions for 30 seconds. Now, we're going to stay on this right leg for a lot more than 30 seconds. So at the end, don't sit your foot down. Just like the other times we've done the excursions, I'm not too concerned with the reaching leg. I do want to see that it goes straight out to the side, but I'm really looking at the rest of the body's response to that challenge. So Rick's keeping time. We're gonna go for 30 seconds, keeping the shoulder blades retracted and depressed, keeping your navel drawn in, entire foot connected to the ground. When we're done with this, we're gonna pick on the leg as a whole and go right into the lunge. So the excursions, we're really working primarily on your stabilizers along your ankle, knee, and hip. Now we're using those more global muscles. We're getting the quads, the hamstrings, the glutes. So now that Rick's stabilizers are probably talking to him, we're gonna pull the rest of those muscles into the mix, get them singing, making nice music together. Nothing changes with this lunge. As he steps back, we have that tibia torso alignment, that nice forward angle so that all the work's done through the right leg, and let's go back into the excursion, same side. So, stabilizers, global muscles, back to those stabilizers. Now I'm assuming that those bigger muscles are probably singing even louder now. So with that said, you may not be able to reach as far as you did with the first set of 30. You may not be able to do as many. That's fine. We care more about the outcome. Make sure you keep your shoulders retracted, keep your entire foot connected. Don't let your hip shift forward. We're almost there. We're almost there. Good. Other side. Let's pick on that other leg. Now you're going to stand on the left leg. You're going to reach out to the right. Couple of things to look out for. As you reach out, your body's going to be tempted to lean in the opposite direction to counterbalance that weight. Your body's also going to be tempted to shift weight forward so that you're utilizing more of the quadriceps to hold your weight up, which the body's more familiar with. We don't want that. Get your hip to the rear so you get those glutes singing. The entire foot stays connected to the ground. You're breathing, reaching, and listening to the rest of the body. And now let's watch Rick go into those lunges. Don't just watch, do. So we're not necessarily doing a 4-to-1 tempo like we've done in the past, but we are moving slow. Slow because we want to give those muscles a chance to feel and adapt to what's going on, but also slow to make sure that we're doing it the right way. Keep the entire foot connected to the ground. check in every once in a while to make sure the foot didn't turn out, especially if you have tight calves or you have hip flexor issues. Your body may be tempted to push that joint back to the position that feels normal. Feelings aren't facts though. But you know what is a fact? You got 30 more seconds of these excursions. So shoulders drawn back, belly button pulled in, fight for it. Your foot might be on fire, your quad might be on fire, your glutes may be on fire. You know what that means? You're on fire. You're doing a great job. You're doing a great job. Shoulders back, belly button pulled in, fight to get there well. Don't just reach that foot out and back. Listen to the rest of your body. Almost there, a couple of more seconds. Dig deep, and that's...
Goodness. My foot's doing this. Like, you don't need anything but your body. No weight, no towels, no anything. Let's go with our adductor stretch on that side. Stepping out to the side. We're calling it an adductor stretch. It's a great way for us to cover up what it also really is, which is a side lunge, right? So you're doing this out to the side, you're getting some leg work, bringing it back up to the center. A couple things that go on here. As you reach out to the side, focus on getting the stretch. So try to reach farther so that you can get that stretch. And then this leg, as it drops down, that's holding your body up. So it's gonna get you your burn in your thigh a little bit. And then you go back into your Spider-Man exercise. So Spider-Man exercise, back leg goes back, hip flexor stretch on his leg right here. And then as he goes back, he's got posterior hip stretch there. And then he's got adductor stretch on the inside. And you can take that arm, push out on the inside of his leg a little bit if he wants to. And he can get a little more abduction so he can stretch the inside of the thighs just a tad bit more. So let's go now into the inchworms. So we got Aaron walking forward into the push-up position, coming right back up tall. As we start progressing through this, and depending on your ability, you decide how fast or how slow you need to go through it. Because this is not the tempo that necessarily has to be done. It's the tempo that we're showing it. But if you want to progress it and take it a bit faster, feel free to do it. If you need to slow it down for your safety, your orthopedic health, then do so. All right, so we've got now this combination of all of them being put together. So watch, he comes out into his adductor stretch, rotates into his Spider-Man, steps his leg back, and then inchworms back up. So we just take all of those 3 exercises that we did and we do a mashup. We put them together into one. So adductor stretch, Spider-Man, inchworm back up to the top. This will be our last one on this side, and then walk it up. Cool, right into your jumping jacks. All right, guys. This is now the time to pick up your cardio a little bit. We're gonna do jumping jacks, we're gonna do front jacks, and then we're gonna do all of the things that we just did on the right side to the left side. So once you take the time now and put forth the energy now to spike your heart rate a little bit with both the jumping jacks and what we're gonna do next, which will be called front jacks, that's gonna be the time to take the heart rate up. So when you do your adductor stretch, your Spider-Man, your inchworm, and then do your combinations, here's our front jacks. So when we take all of these things and we put them together in the combo, the jumping jacks and the front jacks, because you're going to get these going a little bit faster and spike your heart rate, all of that, the stretch of Spider-Man, inchworm, and combo, are gonna keep you elevated for the rest of the workout. You get 10 more seconds on this or so. Just pick up your speed a little bit, pick up your arm action a little bit, and then let's move into your adductor stretch. So taking that stretch out to the side and back up. So again, the adductor stretch, also cleverly disguised as a frontal plane lunge. And then as you come up to the center, you gotta do 2 things. You gotta use your hips on this side to push you back to the center. But you also have to use your adductors on this side to help pull you in and to stabilize you once you come up. So you can come up feet together. If you want to progress it a little bit for yourself, you can come up and try to maintain that balance up at the top. Good. So let's go into the Spider-Man. Spider-Man is just taking you back into your hip flexor, stretch on the front, hip posterior hip capsule on the lead leg, but then it's a lunge again. So we've got these lunging positions that we're going into and coming out of. Anytime you do this squatting, lunging stuff, it's demanding on your lower extremity, but also because it's just strange. When you change your elevation right? You're creating a lot of work. So now into your inchworms again. And anytime you change your elevation, just like the inchworms here, when your head goes up and down, your body drops down and comes back up, you're fighting directly against gravity. You are demanding a lot from your system. Also, particularly in this one, as your heart changes position relative to your body, right? So your head is lower, your heart starts to pump a different way because it doesn't have to work as hard to get blood somewhere, and then you stand up, and now it's got to work hard again. So your heart can't quite figure out what's going on, and it will continue to elevate your heart rate. Going into this mobility, this is our last exercise, putting everything together. It's got your side lunge, it's got your Spider-Man, it's got your feet back into the inchworm, all put together into a big combination that we're just gonna focus on your movement and your mobility with this version of our week 2 cardio extra.
Daily move dance off.
We're gonna start out with a little bit of boxing. So remember, this is part 3, so it's gonna take us through both towel drills and bodyweight drills. We got Aaron giving us the old 1-1-2, right? So a jab, and then a cross. And when you throw that cross, let's get the hips into it. Let's pivot the back leg and throw the body forward. So if you've ever heard the give them the old 1-2, it's that jab cross. So the 1-1-2, it's jab, jab, cross, putting those together and creating the combinations. Yeah, just keep going right into the knee towel. So taking the towel, long knee forward, driving into the towel. So hold on to the towel tight and then punch your knee forward. Don't think about it being a kick. Think about it being a punch with your legs. So driving it straight forward. There you go, just like that. Focus on your stability. Don't throw too hard. Don't throw yourself off balance. If you're not used to it, build up to it. And if you're not comfortable with the front knee or the long knee, then just give it a little upward swing. All right, going into the sidewinders as I get out of the way here. He's gonna go back and forth, stabilizing the core. We've built up into all of these, putting them together now. Rotation from the spine. The hips are gonna wiggle a little bit because they have to give to the motion. So we're not pivoting back and forth because we don't want a lot of movement. But since your torso is moving, there's gonna be a little bit of movement here at the legs, a little bit at the hips, because you're gonna have to absorb some of that rotation. Now into the ice skaters. Ice skaters just coming back and forth, stabilizing that leg, but before we gave it a little bit longer hold, now we're building up into it with the ice skaters just popping back and forth. Also notice that every time Aaron jumps, his arms get involved. He's got an opposite arm and leg movement. And that's to mimic this kind of running pattern, right? So it's the same thing that happens when you do your ice skaters. It's just a side-to-side running pattern. Now into your jumping jacks. Great thing just to bring it back around and give us a for a lot of the people, this is an old school drill. It's not really a timeout, so don't think about this as like a break. We want you to progress this exercise so that you do get your heart rate up. If you need to speed it up and do some speed jacks, then feel free to do that. But for the most part, nice big movement, upward rotation of the scapula, hips moving in and out, just like that. I love jumping jacks. Going into your 1-1-2 with the left hand, so you're switching over into your southpaw stance and pivoting that back leg as you drive that left hand forward. Now, if you did the combination on the other side before, don't worry about it, just switch your sides, it doesn't matter. Jab, jab into the cross position, and then as you do your cross, you are pivoting the back leg and driving the body forward. Try not to lean into it, just rotate into it. Very good. So now we're gonna take the knee towel right into the other side. Now, one of the things that we like about the long knee, and so when we do sports like the sport that I did a lot, which is Muay Thai, we do this knee because as we lean back like this, it drives a lot of force forward. But if that sounds like something that might bother your back, if you already have an existing back issue, you tried it and you're like, I don't really feel comfortable with it, you turn it into whatever exercise you need it to be to protect yourself. If any of these exercises, and we've gone on into the sidewinders, if any of these exercises are not right for you. And obviously that doesn't mean because your heart rate is going up, but we mean because anything particularly may cause you pain. It's not because the exercises are bad, it's because those exercises don't work for your body, all right? So we want you to change the exercise, how they're performed and how they're done so that you can do them safely, or just find another exercise to do so that you don't have to work into any pinching or any pain. Now we're going into these skiers, which are back and forth, just jumping side to side. So again, as if we had a towel down or there's a line down, you're just trying to clear that towel, you're trying to clear that line by jumping back and forth across it. Frontal plane, this shifting back and forth, or basically frontal plane, if you can see everything that the body is doing from the front, that's the plane of motion you're moving in, and we like that. Now into your flurries. Guys, this is the last exercise. You got 30 seconds and you're just punching back and forth, repeating those flurries back and forth. Stay smooth, stay on beat, stay consistent with your movement. So it's not 1, 2, and reset. It's a flurry, so you're just punching out. We're gonna go a few more seconds on this, and I want you to dig through it. You got about 5 seconds left. Big pushes, push yourself faster, 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 faster. There it is.
Wow! I still don't want to fight Chuck Norris.
No way. Guys, remember to move a little bit every day, 'cause
A little bit of something.
is better than a whole lot of nothing.